You won't believe what happened when the kid caught an elf on the shelf moving in real life. Today we present 100 of the craziest elf sightings ever recorded. Like this video and subscribe right now. Let's dive in. This clip shows an elf on the shelf who got inside of a toy BMW i8 coupe and started driving around the patio. The elf is not alone, as there's also a little dog sitting in the passenger seat. Now this is one of the most incredible elf on the shelf clips ever because the elf must know that he's being recorded, but still chooses to continue driving around and having fun with his new furry friend.
I've seen this. Buddy and Needles are driving Lily around in the car. This is totally crazy. I've never seen this. I can't believe I'm seeing this with my own eyeballs. Whoa. Uh-oh. It looks like he got stuck. Are you gonna back it up, buddy? There you, oh, whoa. Look at you driving. I cannot believe this. This is crazy. Looks like Lily's having a fun time too.
These two mischievous elves were spotted having some fun with the camera. They were undoubtedly drawn to the shining item that seemed to be staring right at them. The second elf was initially camera shy, and the other occasionally strikes a pose. Elves are really something else. The other elf is in the back beginning to move as well. It's just unbelievable. You can't just tell me that these aren't real. Have you ever seen spooky elves on the shelf? This one will undoubtedly frighten you because this clip was recorded right after Halloween, and I guess one of the elves decided to visit his family very early before Christmas and have some fun with Halloween props. These two guys failed to catch their elf moving, so they had a genius idea of watching the elf moving next to their elf while recording it with a secret camera. Their plan worked out because their elf started moving and its eyes even changed color at the end of the clip. It's one of the most fascinating elf on the shelf caught moving clips ever, so let's enjoy it together.
We thought at the beginning the elves were like regular humans, but really, it really shows when an actual human's beside them, right?
The Wolfbarrow's tall. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, but I mean, nah, but compared to these guys, look at them. They look like little shrimps. It's like me versus like you or something. Dude, massive head.
It looks awesome. Look at the it has like a speed.
Dude, that thing.
For this short clip, we have footage of a security camera at a garage. It captured an elf who entered the garage, turned on the lights, and looked straight at the camera. The elf was probably planning to do something more, but it noticed the camera and escaped the scene. This clip shows an entire elf family stuck inside a lantern. You can see a grown-up elf with several of its babies, which are wearing many different colors. We don't know how all of them ended up being stuck there, but luckily one of the elves started talking and tells us an entire story, so let's keep watching until the end.
It's kind of hard to explain, but Dart saw this glowing magical light, and he thought we would like to hang out inside of it, but then he put us all inside, and then he closed it and locked it with a big lock, and now we're all trapped inside here, and I was hoping maybe, just maybe, you could use your magic gloves and help save us.
The elf of this family was constantly teleporting all around their house, so in this clip they decided to trap it inside glass, but as soon as they did, the elf used its magical powers once again and teleported to freedom. The elf appears next to them on the couch, and it's one of the greatest displays of elf magic ever captured on camera.
Wait. It has to be the what? It's not in there, dude.
This clip shows an elf who used his powerful abilities to sneak into the kitchen to get his favorite treat. If you don't know, every elf on the shelf has a huge sweet tooth, so their diet is just cinnamon, rock sweets, and obviously Skittles. As you'll see, this elf had the power to lift this massive box to the top shelf and grab some candy, so keep on watching. This clip captures one elf who's wearing green clothes turning his fellow elf into a pile of candy cane dust. The owner of these elves was shocked to discover what looks to be a crime scene, and we can only hope that the other elf will return to normal instead of remaining just a pile of crushed candy canes. Who knew that elves could use such dangerous magic? Just imagine if your elf would decide to cast this spell on you and turn you into candy cane dust.
Zart the elf off the shelf. And then, this is what I discovered. And it's, wait, is this, it looks like, yeah, it is. It's Buddy. Buddy's hat, the elf on the shelf, and what in the world? He turned into something. Was it Zart? What is this something? Look, let's take a close-up look. Whoa! Whoa, yeah, it does. It looks like candy cane mints. Buddy? Oh dear. Zart, what in the world did you do?
For this clip, we have an elf sitting between some toys and it slowly starts moving before getting up and leaving the frame. Seconds later, the elf shoves its head right into the camera from above and finally flips it over. This elf probably wasn't happy about its owner trying to record it moving. In this clip, we can see an elf happily walking and dancing in the living room. At one point, the elf takes off for a brief flight, but then returns to the ground soon after. Most elves can fly, but it requires a lot of energy, and that's why elves avoid flying all over the place, even if it's really fun. The elf hops around the living room for a while before its owner comes into the room, making the elf go limp. In this clip, we have a curious elf on the shelf who noticed the hidden security camera and decided to pick it up and record a short vlog. The elf carries the camera to another spot before placing it down and dancing right in front of it. The elf was probably interested in human technology and decided to experiment and record its own vlog. Now we have a clip of this elf on the shelf caught moving around during the daytime. It starts its journey from Santa's lap and slowly makes its way towards the camera, where it peeks its head right in the middle of the frame before turning off the recording. Elves on the shelf usually wear red clothes, but there are actually clothes that have other colors like green or even black, which is the rarest. Apparently, they have the strongest magical powers, and in this clip, the black elf was caught trying to steal Skittles from the kitchen counter. The family put a bag of Skittles right in front of the camera, hoping the elf would fall for the bait. The elf had problems opening the door, but eventually reached the Skittles and got caught by the person behind the camera. However, the elf just teleported out of his hand and escaped the dangerous situation. For this short elf on the shelf caught moving clip, we have an elf who saw a camera rolling and decided to look straight into its lens. The elf shoves its face into the camera and quickly makes its exit. What a wonderful sight. This clip shows an elf which was caught getting stuck inside a dog feeder. You can see its tiny legs sticking out, and it's super lucky that the dog didn't bite them off. Later on in the clip, you'll see the entire elf behind the glass, but the craziest part is when it starts talking and explaining how it ended up getting stuck there. So let's check it out.
An elf on the shelf. Wait, Buddy? Buddy, are you okay in there?
Well, I'm doing alright, but the puppy, she keeps licking my feet. Well, Zach put me inside here for some reason, and it smells like dog treats. Not so tasty. I wish it was cookies instead. But yeah, Zach locked me in. Can you help save me, please?
In this clip, the elf was caught moving its eyes, and it's very rare to see an elf on a shelf moving its eyes, so it's a super special case. The person who took this video hung a candy stick on the elf's little hand. Then they must have looked away or something, because elves don't move at all if someone's looking at them. At that point, you can see the elf moving its eyes, and it's just absolutely nuts, so let's take a look. This little girl was soundly asleep, probably dreaming of Santa's gifts. The surveillance camera catches a glimpse of an elf peeking at her multiple times. It had multiple attempts to come near her, bouncing all over. The father caught the elf sleeping beside the little kid and thought that he saw the elf smile. What a wholesome clip. So basically, this mom was having some suspicions about her elf because it would be placed at one spot and the next morning it would be found at another place around the home. If you want to catch your own elf, make sure to listen closely on what I'm about to say because this mom shows the best tricks and tips for catching an elf. At first, she shows us that the elf is sitting silently on the Christmas tree and then proceeds to show us what seems to be the elf's door at the North Pole, which teleports it back to Santa Claus. That's the spot where you have to put your camera at because the elf will probably be trying to go back to Santa. So the next morning, she sets up 2 cameras in the living room and the kitchen, and as expected, the elf goes down the tree, and you guessed it, to the little door. This girl discovered that one of her elves on the shelf was pregnant, and eventually the elf gave birth to baby twins. One of the babies is even wearing green clothes, and the other wears traditional red elves. We can only wonder why this is the case, and no one even knows how or why these elves got pregnant, but it's an amazing clip, so let's check it out.
Are you allowed to touch elf babies?
I think so.
Oh, so we have a boy and a girl.
But they both have eyelashes.
Everyone has eyelashes.
It's not true.
Even boys have eyelashes.
They do?
Yes. Go look at Dad.
This family decided to play hide and seek at their house with a giant elf on the shelf. You can see the elf walking through the house looking for children who were hiding, and eventually the elf comes upon this suspicious cardboard box sitting in the middle of the kitchen. So let's see if the elf...
That's all Spider-Head.
Alright, you guys ready? You better be, because the elf on the shelf is coming in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait, okay, so the elf's got to pick one box. One box. Where are you going to go there, elf? Oh, whoa, what's going on? Are you picking this? Uh-oh!
In this incredible clip, we have an elf hanging from the bed curtain frame, and suddenly it starts moving and slowly making its way to the other side of the frame using only its hand. Now, this elf is probably a gymnast back in the North Pole, and perhaps even elves have athletic competitions, so this elf decided to put in some time into training while it's away from its friends. So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane, and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case, it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. In this clip, we can see the elf on the shelf being recorded by a hidden camera, which captures him starting to move. The elf slowly moves its arms and legs before using its magical powers to briefly stop the camera from recording. Now we can see the elf looking straight at it, and the elf winks and smiles before using its magic once again, this time to disappear. This is probably one of the most confusing elf on the shelf caught on camera videos we've seen. While we're still trying to adjust elves on the shelf moving, now we have to see them create extra legs from sneakers to walk and run around the house. Confused? Check out the confusing clip for yourself. Maybe you'll figure it out. Up next, we have an elf on the shelf who appears in front of the camera and then quickly turns its back and walks away from it. A second later, the elf approaches the camera again, but this time the elf is rubbing its hands. The little fellow was likely planning something mischievous because it left its side again, only to reappear with its friend. These two elves keep showing up in front of the camera until their owner enters the room, and then one of the elves just barely stops moving in time to avoid getting caught. This clip shows another example of elves that like to use flying technology instead of magic. These kids were on a mission to catch their elf on the shelf as a part of their Christmas celebration. They were hoping to meet the elf on the Christmas tree and see it with their own eyes, but it had other plans. Stay around, as 2 hours later, the elf made a grand descent flying a candy-filled toy airplane, which is nothing surprising considering elves love sweets. For this short clip, we have an elf who was caught walking on the sleeping dog. This elf likely wanted to play with its furry friend, and in turn, it got caught moving. What a marvelous sighting. And this clip, the elf on the shelf seems to be sitting still until suddenly it starts moving. It quickly stands up and walks in circles until it slips and falls back down. Perhaps this elf isn't used to moving its legs a lot and that's why he fell down, but regardless of that, it's still a pretty fun clip. This clip shows an elf on the shelf jumping up and down the bedroom and getting caught on the camera while doing so, but when it discovers it's being filmed, the elf could only think of a place to hide, and its choice will surprise you, so keep watching. Now this elf probably wants to be a YouTube vlogger instead of working for Santa, because this clip is seemingly recorded by the elf himself by carrying a camera that was left next to it. The elf probably understood that his owner wants to capture it moving, so the elf decided to do him a favor and record his entire walk throughout the house. Now we have a clip of a group of elves sitting in darkness, and we can see the usual red elf, but next to it sits a more rare blue elf and green elves. However, the moving elf is the pink one, who comes from behind the camera and shoves the blue elf before showing its own face to the camera. While all the elves are not moving, the pink one seems to be having tons of fun alone. Elves coming alive and starting to move is already scary knowledge, but also knowing that it doesn't only come alive, but can sometimes help with the house chores without you knowing can be even scarier. In this clip, an elf on the shelf is seen flying into the laundry room before flying into the washing machine and then bringing out a sock. What a helper. In this clip, we have two elves that were caught walking right across the living room. At the beginning, the first elf makes its trip across the room, and later we can see the second elf following suit. What an incredible clip. Up next, we have a clip of an elf on the shelf getting baited by a $100 bill. So the elf's owner placed a $100 bill on the ground right in front of the elf, and the little fellow literally jumped off the Christmas tree to claim it.
You see that? You got to be kidding. As soon as I look...
It appears that the family's suspicions about the elf on the shelf have increased, and they believe he's likely roaming around the house. And in order to provide him with a little light, they propped him up in front of the laptop because, you know, they had to turn all the lights down in order for the elf to believe that they're sleeping. And scary enough, it moved its head in a strange way, which is going to impress a lot of you, so let's check it out. We have a clip of this guy having dinner with his elf, and as he finishes eating, he stood up and left the room. But unbeknownst to the elf, his owner left a hidden camera right in front of the elf. The elf ends up getting captured by a camera and coming to life and moving around. It even peeks into the cup to see what the owner was drinking. In this clip, the elf can be seen wanting to climb down the staircase, but as if it knew there was a hidden camera trying to capture that exact moment. So the elf went back and hid, but then continued to peep as if it was hoping that the camera would move or stop rolling. So let's check it out. This elf was captured taking care of a sweet tooth with his fellow elves and making them cookies. This is a very nice gesture, and it shows how caring and considerate these magical beings are. Would you like to taste a cookie made by an elf? Now we have a clip of an elf on the shelf recording a gameplay video of him playing Minecraft. We didn't know that elves also like playing video games, and no one can really be sure if it's true or whether this elf is one of a kind who likes gaming. Anyways, he's the only one who has recorded gameplay video, so let's check it out. A mom caught two elves on the shelf playing with each other in her wardrobe. The elves were seen facing each other as they kept playing and didn't seem bothered by the mom recording them. This clip captured a day in the lives of three elves on the shelf, from working around the house to giving a haircut to their friend Barbie. This is an insane clip that shows a lot of details on how the elves spend their free time, so let's take a look. For this clip, we have an elf who was caught moving, but as soon as the owner entered the room to approach the elf, it jumped and stopped moving until landing. The elf knows it got caught. This clip shows two elves, one wearing red and another wearing pink, sitting on their toy horses, as if they're preparing for a race. However, the elf who is wearing red clothes just starts riding towards the camera. We can only wonder whether the elves wanted to race and got scared of being recorded, or they didn't even plan to race in the first place and just wanted to ride around on their little horses.
He's riding his reindeer. What is he doing, girls? What is he doing? Oh, he's gone.
Got some tears because that's so funny. That's only bubblegum.
Wait, he's coming back. What in the world?
In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught moving towards the sleeping dog, and at first it seems like the elf was just having fun and dancing around the dog, but then the elf turns to its furry friend with a treat. Some elves on the shelf are super funny like this one. It was just chilling on a Christmas tree and looked straight into the camera and raised its hand in a dabbing position. It's just insane. It makes you think whether it's something Santa's teaching the elves or it's just this elf that's seen the kids do it many times and wanted to try it itself. For this short clip, we have an elf who's lying down on its side and shaking. One evening, the owner found their elf this way and it just kept shaking. We don't know whether the elf was ill or just messing with its owner, but it's pretty strange nonetheless. This is definitely not your traditional elf on the shelf caught moving on camera clip, but it's a fun one nonetheless. The elf jumps off the hearth to attack its owner, and after this intense fight, the elf emerges as the winner, leaving its owner lying unconscious on the ground. Luckily, the rest of the family return home in time to help the guy.
Oh, I don't think so. Not today. Oh, what? Where did he go? Oh.
Honey, it's Daddy. Oh no. At least the elf's okay.
If you thought your cookies were safe in a cookie jar, then you might want to rethink your belief after watching this clip. So basically, a kid woke up to see their elf on the shelf sitting next to several cookies that has to be taken out of the cookie jar in the kitchen. The elf had even eaten some, as the crumbs indicate. Luckily, the elf left some for the kids to share. For this clip, we have a shy elf on the shelf who clearly wants to start moving, but it knows that it's sitting right in front of the camera, so it doesn't move much, but slowly wiggles around in its place before it falls down on its side. The elf on the shelf in this next clip will rather choose to play hide and seek in the kitchen than stay put in one position, so let's check it out.